You and I are about to embark on a journey so treacherous, so harrowing, that it took me 13 tries to get it right. What am I talking about? Buttons in my eye. Or I guess I changed it. Now, buttons in my eye is the old one. Black is traditional is the new one. This soap is an advanced recipe because it is so meticulous. You have to get the exact right temperature, do the exact right timings, and even now I still get it wrong, which makes it incredibly frustrating. So everybody, say a prayer to whatever god or deity or gods you believe in that this soap will turn out okay while I'm filming here, and that we get the chunky unky swirls. Without further ado, let's go over our ingredients and materials. First things first, we got our 99% isopropyl alcohol. We have one large pitcher. I have two small pitchers. You can have just one if you prefer. We also have our 10-inch silicone loaf mold, our cutting board, something to cut our soap with, a digital thermometer. This is going to be especially crucial. Usually this is optional. Today, no, required. 1 pound of goat's milk melt and pour soap, 2 pounds of clear glycerin soap, our button molds. These are from Michael's and I think they're used for like cake fondant, but they're good enough for us. Our fragrance oil, we're going to be using Sugar Plum Fairy. And I like this fragrance oil because it contrasts with the dark themes that this soap has with the dark swirls. And this is kind of giving that bright, cheery vibe, but it's still not quite right, if you know what I mean. A digital scale, our color blocks. We have black oxide, perfect red, green chrome, yellow, and red. Red and perfect red, not the same. We're going to be using the red for pink and we're going to be using the perfect red for the vermilion. And then you're also going to want a timer. I am going to use my phone timer. Without further ado, let's get started. First things first, we're going to make our black layer. So we're going to cut up 1/4 of our black color block and 1.5 pounds of black soap. Eventually, we will be cutting up all 2 pounds. But because these pitchers hold 2 pounds of soap liquid, they only hold 1.5 pounds of chunks. Make sure you tear your scale so that it's at 0 after you put your color block in. So what we're going to do to get the 2 pounds in there is we're going to melt down 1.5 pounds of soap first for a minute. And then we're going to melt down, we're going to add our 8 ounces after and then continue melting. That is 1.5 pounds of soap. We're going to throw this in the microwave for 1 minute. The microwave increments are very important with this recipe, so I would recommend doing it exactly how I do it. Normally I say 30 seconds until it's melted, stirring in between. I will tell you when to stir. I will tell you how long to put it in the microwave for. Now this can be dependent on like how strong your microwave is or whatever, but like, are all microwaves the same? I don't know. 1 minute. And while that is microwaving, you can go ahead and get the rest of your clear soap ready. So that's going to be another 8 ounces. Okay, so there's a little bit of room now that we can add the rest of our clear soap. And I just put my pitcher back on the scale because it was still tared for my pitcher when I measured the 1.5 pounds. So I can go ahead and add more until it gets to 2 pounds. 2 pounds. Okay, we're gonna put this in for another minute. While that's melting down, we can go ahead and get our pitchers ready for our colors. First color is going to be light pink. So go ahead and put that on your scale, tare it so it's at 0. Then get your red color block. And we're going to get about 1/8 of a block. 1/4, 1/8, 16th of a block. 16. Tare your scale so it's at 0, and then you're going to cut up 4 ounces of your goat's milk soap. That just beeped. Go ahead and set it for another minute. You also need a spoon. Go ahead and take that out. We're going to stir this with our spoon to just break up any chunky yunks. Getting pretty close to being all the way melted. And then we're going to throw this in for another 30 seconds. 30 seconds. So this is our light pink ready. It's 4 ounces and then a 16th of the pink color block. We can also get our Chartreuse ready, but I'm gonna wait and save that until after we have poured the black and the pink. Make sure it's mostly all melted. Check the temperature. So right now for me, the temperature is at about 150. We want it to cool to about 140 before we pour it. Put it on your digital scale, tare it, and then we're going to add 0.4 ounces of fragrance oil. Stir, stir, stir that in until it is fully combined. So for me, it's at about 143 right now. So I'm going to keep stirring that until it's at 140 degrees. I measure my soap base while I'm stirring it. So you don't want to measure the top because it's going to cool on the top very quickly. You want to measure it while it's still liquid. So just keep that moving and grooving. All right, that's at about 140. Get your isopropyl alcohol. We're going to pour this in to our 10-inch loaf mold. And make sure you spray the top to pop any bubbles. Perfect. Grab your pink soap that you've already cut up and gotten ready. We're going to throw this in the microwave at 30-second intervals, which may seem like a lot, and it is, but that's how you get the effect that we're going for. So it's going to be 30 seconds, stir, then another 30 seconds. I have a little whisk here that I use to stir my smaller soap bases. And you're just going to stir for a little bit just to make sure that it's not chunking together. Then back in the microwave. Another 30 seconds. Now, this next part that we're going to do is we're going to stab our soap. I'm telling you all this ahead of time because I think I'm going to be in the zone once I start doing it. We're going to stab the top of the soap loaf with our spoon. Then we're going to pour our pink. And then we're going to do this kind of motion into the soap loaf with our spoon to get the pink to go deeper into the black layer. This is going to create those nice chunky yunks that the vermilion and the chartreuse are going to follow down. The pink is going to create the lines, and then the vermilion and chartreuse are going to follow those lines. That is fully melted. We're going to add our fragrance oil. This is the same fragrance oil. Making sure. This is the same fragrance oil, it's just in a bigger jug. And it's going to be 0.1 ounces. So I use a dropper. And then stir, stir, stir that in completely. The fragrance oil, I mean. You want to do it rather fast, and you don't want the soap to lose any of the temperature. So you're just going to do it really quickly. And then, like I said before, we're going to poke some holes in the top of our black layer with our spoon because it's already started to kind of film up. So we just want it to get under the surface there. That's good enough. Spray your isopropyl alcohol. And then pour your pink. And we're going to actually pour this pretty close to the black, as close as we can. And I like to do it as a U shape and then fill in the U in the center. And then back out. And you might be saying, oh wow, it looks like it's already making some good swirls there. But if we don't do the next step, we're not going to get the chunky unky swirls that we want. Because this is hotter, it's going to want to float up to the top, and then all the swirls will kind of congeal at the top. I'll put an example here. So you really want to go in with your spoon and do that scooping motion that I said. So we're just going to go in and scoop. I go in until I hit the bottom and then go out a little bit and then come back up. And I just do that all along one side, and then I do that along the other side. And you could feel some resistance at the very bottom of your loaf. That is okay. And then if you want to do some little scoops in the middle, go ahead and do that. And get your timer ready, because this is going to be very important. We're going to wait 10 minutes before pouring our next layer. So go ahead and start your 10-minute timer. While we wait for that timer to go off though, we're going to make our light pink buttons. So we can do that by melting down cut your other 1/16 in half, because we're going to melt down 2 ounces of soap, goat milk soap. That was the red color block, by the way. I don't remember if I mentioned that. Melt that for about 30 seconds, and then we're going to stir it. We're not going to add any fragrance oil though, because that would be a really little amount. It would be like 0.05 ounces of fragrance oil. It's just not worth it. God, I hope this turns out. This would be so disappointing if I filmed this whole thing and then we cut into it and it's not the chunky unky swirls. That would be so devastating. That's kind of why you don't know this, because this video is going to come out on time. But I've been putting off making this video because of that fear, because I'm so scared. Okay, I'm just stirring in the color block, and then get your button molds ready and make some buttons. I usually make all the buttons except for the heart ones, because she doesn't have heart eyes. She has regular button eyes. Only got half of a button for that one. That's okay. And then while those are, spray the top of those. While those are drying, we're going to get ready our vermilion layer. So get your perfect red color block. We're going to cut 1/4 of that. This has got to be the most precise soap recipe I've done so far for you guys. By the way, if you want to buy this soap recipe, it's going to be available on my website for $5, or if you sign up to my Patreon, you can get all of my recipes for as little as $1 a month. It's a great way to help support my small business, and you get to learn how to make soap. So it's a win-win-win-win-win. That got all over my gloves. How rude. Okay, so that was 1/4 of the perfect red color block. And then 4 ounces, tear your scale. It's going to be 4 ounces of the goat's milk soap. Also a quick note, if you are making like multiple batches of this Coraline soap, don't put the loaves right next to each other. It's very important that the loaf is given its own space, because if you are making other soaps next to the Coraline soap, the heat from the other soap loaves will actually affect how the swirls in the Coraline soap come out. That is how finicky this gosh darn soap is. Okay, that is about 4 ounces of the Vermillion ready. We still have 3 minutes and 30 seconds. So there's a couple things we could do just to pass the time. We can get our Chartreuse ready because we're going to be throwing this in the microwave when we have about 1 minute left on our timer because it takes a minute for the soap to melt down. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, get the Chartreuse ready. The Chartreuse is going to be mostly yellow with a touch of green. So you're going to want 1/4 of your yellow color block. And then a sliver of green. When I say a sliver, I mean a sliver. You'll be surprised at how much that green will show up. So I'm going to cut a bar in half, and then it's just a really little bit. Itsy bitsy. And that's all the green that we're going to use. So go ahead and save these color blocks, put them back in their Ziploc baggie, and you can use it to make other soaps. These will last for a long while in the Ziploc container. Don't just leave them out because then they'll get dried out and they won't melt down as easily. So you want to put them back in their container. I learned that the hard way. And then 4 ounces also of the Chartreuse. Make sure you don't mix up the Chartreuse and the Vermillion because we want to do the Vermillion swirls first. And then the Chartreuse swirls go last. Okay, Vermillion, Chartreuse. I'm actually going to put the green into there so that I don't get them mixed up. And it's about 1 minute, 22 seconds left on our timer. So we are functioning as we should. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Throw this in the microwave, 30 seconds. It's going to be 30 seconds, stir, then back in the microwave for another 30 seconds. That's going to remain consistent with all of these. We are not going to be poking any holes in this next layer because what we want to do is that soap is going to get so hot that it's actually going to melt the top layer anyways, and it's going to find those paths that the pink soap made through the black, and it's going to go down, and while it's going down into the black, it's going to start to harden and it's going to pool up inside the black, making those chunky yunky swirls. That's the goal, at least. Take this out, stir, stir, stir really quick, put it back in. Another 30 seconds. And then we're also going to add our fragrance oil. Again, that's going to be like 1 dropper full or about 0.1 ounces of fragrance oil. Quick stir, and then we're going to spray and pour. Put it on your scale, tare it, and again, this is the same fragrance oil. I just like using the dropper in the big jug. Stir in your fragrance oil. And spray the top of your soap. Now, very important, we're going to pour this at a high distance. That'll let gravity help the soap poke through the layers as well. And again, I just do that kind of U shape and then go through the middle of it, back up, and back around. You can say it's poked through the black layers because you're seeing some of that black clear soap come back up. That is what we want. Spray the top. And then set your timer again, another 10 minutes. We're going to now melt down some soap for our vermilion buttons. Are these ready to come out? They seem like it. I'm gonna grab a paper towel to put our buttons on. I'm gonna only unmold 2 of these right now because I want to stay on track. I don't want to waste too much time unmolding stuff. I want to make sure I prioritize making the buttons, pouring at the right time, and then if I have any extra time, I can unmold later. All right, vermilion, same thing, quarter perfect red color block and 2 ounces of soap base. You can do half of a quarter if you want, which would be 1/8. I'm gonna do the whole quarter because I want it to be really vibrant red for the buttons. I wonder why this color block in particular is making such a mess. Don't get distracted, Amanda. We literally do not have time. That's 2 ounces. Put it in the microwave for 30 seconds. And now I can unmold some more buttons. That's a good test taking tip too. If you guys are still in school, prioritize the questions that you know the answer to or that are really easy to get done with, and then go back and do the longer questions or the harder questions afterwards. Instead of just going question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4, skip around. Prioritize your strengths. That will give you the best chance of getting a higher score. Especially with like timed tests like your AP tests or the SATs. Prove what you know, forget what you don't. All right, and then I'm just stirring the rest of that color block in. Pour the vermilion buttons. I need to remember to make some black buttons too. I always forget to make the black buttons because the black goes first and then we're quickly going into the pink. And it's out of sight, out of mind with me. We still have 4 minutes left on our timer, so I'm gonna unmold the rest. If you haven't already, get your Chartreuse ready. That's that quarter yellow sliver of green. You're gonna want that when the timer gets down to 1 minute. We're gonna pop that in the microwave. But while I wait, I can actually make the black buttons. That would be a good use of my time. So unmold the rest of the pink and then go ahead and make the black buttons. Since I only have 3 molds ready for, that caved in on itself a little bit, interesting. For the black, I'm just gonna melt down 1 ounce of soap for 15 seconds. Because I kind of like to have more colorful buttons be at the top instead of black buttons, because the soap is so dark already. I think the lighter buttons elevate it a little bit more. And you can put in a quarter. If you have more time, you can make 2 ounces of black buttons as well, but you really don't need that many. And since I'm kind of working on a timetable here, got 1 minute to go. That's 1 ounce. Okay, 15 seconds. I don't want to lose track of my time and start trying to do too many things when it is so important to get the timing of the soap right. Have I stressed that enough to you guys? The timing of this soap is crucial. Okay, got 26 seconds to quickly pour my black buttons before I need to put this in the microwave. And by this I mean the Chartreuse. So for this I used a quarter color block of black and 1 ounce of goat's milk soap base, which is why the black is blackened. If you do a smaller ratio of color block to soap base, then the black might look a little bit more gray, and that is okay because contrasted with the rest of the colors, it's gonna look darker. And then, because that's all dirty now, I'm gonna put that aside and not use it anymore. Okay, time to put the Chartreuse in. 30 seconds in, stir, 30 seconds again. Give myself a little treat. Now for the green, we're not going to pour it high, we're actually going to pour it low, and we're going to pour it in the center. And the reason that I do that, because I've had some people ask, like, why do you just pour the green in the center? The reason for that is because, one, that's how I did it the first time, and the first result I think was the best result, and I've always been trying to live up to that first expectation of this soap. And two, because I don't want the green to make any of its own channels. I want the green to follow in the footsteps of the pink and the red and go down the same channels that those were made. I think that if I were to pour the green up high, like how I did with the red, the green is going to create its own avenues and not make those chunks in the same places that the vermilion made the chunks. Okay, that is fully melted. Put that on your scale. Add your 0.1 ounces of fragrance oil. Stir, stir, stir. This is about at 180 degrees, just so you guys know. It's hot for a reason. I've tried making it cooler. You can see my button soap trials for that. Spray the top with isopropyl alcohol. And then we're going to be pouring it low and in the middle. I've tried to make this soap at a cooler temperature and it does not get the same effect. You guys want the chunky yunky swirls? This is the only way that I know that works. I'm just telling you guys what I learned. I passed the knowledge on to you. And spray the top. Okay. That is all of the intense time management-y technical part done. So now we wait for that to get firm at the top, and then we're going to pour our peachy color and then put our buttons on. And then the soap will be done. And then we wait up to overnight to cut into it. Right now, though, I'm going to make the Chartreuse buttons, and then I will let this set a little bit and let you guys know how long I let it set, then come back, put the buttons on. What am I doing now that I have all this free time? I don't even know what to do with myself. Let's unmold our vermilion buttons first, since we don't have any open molds. Now you may be saying, Amanda, that's a lot of buttons. You're right. What are we going to do with all those buttons? We're not going to use them all. That's what I'm telling you right now. But I like to have an option of the different sizes and colors so I can make the prettiest pattern on top possible. And then if you have any extra buttons, put them in a Ziploc bag and give them to your family or friends for Christmas. That is our buttons unmolded. For the Chartreuse color, if you're doing 2 ounces, it's going to be 1/8 of a color block of yellow and a teensy sliver of green. Teensy sliver. Turn on your digital scale, tare it, about 2 ounces. Seems like about 2 ounces. And stir that. I hate appliances where you have to plug it in to charge it, but it won't let you use the appliance while you charge it. Apple mouses, the worst at that. Oh, what a jerk design that was, to put the charger on the bottom of the mouse so it's impossible to use. When I get you, Ricky. When I catch you, Ricky.
Ricky, when I catch you, Ricky.
Steve Jobs, when I go to hell, these hands are for you. Why would I say that? You know what? I stand by that. Steve Jobs was a jackass. Feeling feisty today, apparently. Every day I wake up and I'm like a new doctor from Doctor Who. Like, who am I? Am I feisty? Am I handsome? Am I flirty? Am I
funny? Am I sarcastic? Sexy?
Snarky? Am I a little bit rude? And today I guess I'm a little bit rude. That's our buttons. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and let this sit until I touch it and it does not go like that. We'll see you guys back in a little bit. Okay, it has been about 45 minutes. Cool enough that we can make. Get your words together, Amanda. Just get them all together, put them in a backpack, get them all together. God! Hi, I'm doing great. It is time to get our buttons ready and pour the top peachy layer. I'm gonna unmold the rest of my buttons. If you have another loaf mold, I would recommend placing your buttons on that mold beforehand so that you have an idea of what your pattern is going to be for the top of your loaf. I like to plan the pattern before because once we pour our peachy layer, it's going to start setting immediately. And once it develops that film, it's going to be harder to put the buttons down and actually have them stick into the top. So I like having it planned beforehand so I can just go from the plan straight into here. And then also when you put them out like this, you can see exactly what colors you've already used and what colors you need to use more of. So the pattern that I'm doing is like large button, medium button, smaller button, large, medium, small, and those are kind of working together in a jigsaw pattern. That is the plan. We're going to do yellow and red because that makes orange. Don't be like me, be smart. Don't be not smart. Also, if you have the recipe is always going to be the final version. I make these videos before I make the recipe, so this is also kind of a trial and error for me to remember what the heck I'm doing. And then I learn from that, and then I write the recipe. So when in doubt, follow the recipe. Sliver of yellow, sliver of red. And then 2 ounces, again, of goat milk soap. Also, you might want to have a clean dropper for this next section as well, because I like to use the dropper to get in between the buttons. After I put all the buttons in, I like to use the dropper to make it completely flat, because as you'll see when we put the buttons in, it's going to cause the peachy soap to kind of bump up as the soap hardens. just for some uniformity, get a dropper. Okay, I'm not going to talk a lot during this because I'm going to be focused because the soap is going to harden pretty quickly. Spray your isopropyl alcohol. Pour your peachy layer. You want it to be enough to cover the top. And then very quickly move very, very fast. Start setting down your buttons. See how quickly that's starting to harden up, especially down here. It's got all wrinkly like you said. Over here is kind of where we want the smoothness to be. So we're just going to take our pipette, spray the top of our soap. You can either just pour it from here, or if you want more accuracy, use your pipette. And just make that a little bit smoother, going in on top of those wrinkly bits and filling it in a little bit more. That is how to make the Blackest Traditional soap. We're gonna let that set for a couple of hours. And then hopefully when we come back and cut into it, we'll get those chunky, yunky swirls. Fingers crossed. All right, it's been 4 hours and I'm not gonna wait any longer because the anticipation of seeing if this is going to give me chunky, yunky swirls is literally driving me crazy. So we're gonna go ahead and unmold this. It looks like we got some swirls there on the sides. You can see the vermilion came down a little bit. Whether that gave chunky yunky swirls or not, I don't know. You can see a little bit of the light pink coming through. There's not any swirls on the bottom, which could be a red flag. Yeah! Those are beautiful! Ah, thank God. That would have been so embarrassing. The amount of stress I felt just like leave my shoulders is crazy. Ah, it's gorgeous. She's beautiful. I always do this wrong. I need to put it that way. But we did it! Hooray! And I'm so happy. So if you guys want to buy the Blackest Traditional soap, that will be linked in the description. Limited quantities, and I am not going to be restocking them until next Halloween, where hopefully I remember how to make it, which I should because there's a recipe now, and you can also get the recipe in the link in the description or by signing up to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Help support my channel. I also sell other soaps at my website. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like and subscribe if I haven't already said that, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!